Hey, I'm looking for a good gyoza place.
Yeah, whatever. You ever use the force to pick up a turd?
I have.
Let me see you do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that again.
He actually fell for it. What an idiot.
You're looking at the very best gyoza in all of Kobe, folks. Maybe even all of Japan. But can Mark beat these? Let's find out. Now, if you're wondering what gyoza even are, they're Japanese crescent dumplings. You get a carbohydrate wrapper, fill it with veggies and meat, and away you go. Now, this idea isn't unique to East Asia. The Europeans do it, and so do the Americans. And although the ones we're focusing on today did originate in ancient China, the Japanese have really taken the idea and run with it in their own direction, folks. Although they're typically pan-fried, you can find others that are boiled or deep-fried or even steamed and presented in a number of different ways. They usually come with a little container of dipping sauce on the side, which typically is made of soy sauce and vinegar. But Mark has a special kind of sauce that nobody else has, but more on that later. Hey, what are you doing? That was that turd from before. Holy crap.
Yeah. What was it doing in your lunchbox?
Here, let me tell you something that nobody knows about Japan. If you just want to get regular, run-of-the-mill gyoza, that's easy to find. Usually, it's a side dish that they serve at any noodle house in any city across the country. But if you find a shop that specializes only in gyoza, you know you've got something kind of special on your hands, folks. They pretty much gotta be freaking amazing if you can float the whole shop with that one dish. Welcome to Kobe's Akamon Gyoza restaurant, folks. These guys are famous for having the best gyoza in the city. In fact, when I used to live in this area, I remember walking past this shop even about 30 years ago, and people were lined up around the block just to buy their gyoza. So you know, they got the history, they got the reputation, they got the product. Let's go inside, folks. Now, I don't want to say anything bad about this restaurant because really, it was the best gyoza I'd ever had in my life to this point. But they got a kind of attitude in the place that, I don't know how to put this politely, but you ever had that experience of dating somebody who's like super freaking hot? I mean, like so hot, he or she could stop traffic just by standing on the sidewalk. Well, you might find that somebody like that doesn't treat you as well as normal people would treat you. You know, like that attitude of, hey, I'm doing you a favor by letting you hang out with me. Well, that's kind of the air that this place gives off. I mean, look at these rules. We reserve the right to refuse to allow you to order extra gyozas. On weekends and holidays, we require that each person orders 2 people's worth of gyoza. We refuse to allow you to order extra gyozas after the initial order. We ask that you share your table with strangers. And of course, no phones. So that made filming here really awkward, to say the least. And right under the rules sign, there's another sign that says in the yellow there, we recommend. It has to do with sauces. And they're saying that to their miso-based sauce, they want you to add chili oil, vinegar, soy sauce. And they want you to use 1 little tiny sauce plate per customer. And of course, again, they say no phones. It's worth noting that while I was here, even though it says in the yellow there, recommended, I didn't do the sauce the way they wanted me to do the sauce, and I started getting yelled at by the guy behind the counter. And then because I was doing it quote-unquote wrong, I asked for another small plate. And then they got mad at me because, you know, it says in the sign you're only allowed to have 1 plate. Honestly, folks, it was lucky that we got any footage at all inside this shop. Here's a photo I snapped of Mark just before the hammer came down on us for having our phones out. But yeah, honestly, when the gyoza did come, and it was really, really fast, I'll say that. The service is fast here. It's not the friendliest, but it's fast. And yeah, the gyozas were the best I'd ever had to that point. I mean, I really did understand why people line up around the block, and they've been doing that for decades, even though they're kind of snooty here. You know, I was ready to call it a day and say, yeah, I've had the best gyoza of my life, but Mark looks at me sideways with a dissatisfied look on his face and says, dude, I could do this better than these guys. Come back to Tokyo with me and I'll teach you. I'm not sure if you should fry them or if you should boil them in a big pot.
Matsumoto, you seek Mark Sensei.
You know him?
Your mom knows him better. Likes to watch him cook. Dude's got flavor. Oh, what would you know anyway? You like kissing your sister. Anyway, let's get over to Mark's house. I'll drive, but you gotta work the pedals. My legs are too short.
Now, aside from having his own food channel with over 100,000 subs, Mark is also a professional chef, a food consultant, and he has his own show on NHK International called Bento Expo. If anyone was gonna crack the GYOZA code, it was gonna be Mark. Oh yeah, he also has this kick-ass website with all kinds of different foods on there that are all gorgeous and delicious, and well, don't just take my word for it, you gotta go. Check it out. NoRecipes.com, folks. As you can see, he's no stranger to making all kinds of amazing gyoza. But enough of me blabbing on about Mark's amazing cooking. Let's go to Tokyo, bust into his kitchen, and watch him and his assistant make these gyozas. Now, gyozas are one of my favorite foods of all time. I'm completely serious, folks. The classic Japanese gyozas we had at Mark's start with chives. From there, Mark likes to boil the cabbage, but there's a special technique involved that nobody else does. I'll tell you more about that in part 2 of this video when you watch me do it at home in Canada. And although Mark is awesome at making gyoza, his assistant, by Mark's own admission, is even better at wrapping them. Look at her do this. She's like a little machine. Every single gyoza is exactly the same as the gyoza that came before it. In all my years of experience with this food, I've never seen anybody who could be so precise with the manufacture of these things. She's really an inspiration to watch. Oh, and as for the meat mixture, make sure you tune into part 2 where I'll go over every single detail of how to do it. And because it'll happen in my kitchen, I'm gonna maple cook it up with all that weirdness that you know me for. But yeah, Mark is an absolute master when it comes to frying these up, and you can see him doing that here. And the idea is to fry it on the bottom so it gets really crisp, and to add some water to it so that the thing will steam underneath the cover. So that in the end, you get the best of both worlds. That crunchiness from the frying and the wonderful soft juiciness from the steaming. And in the end, you end up with something that looks like this. And to both Mark's satisfaction and mine, yes, they were several levels above what we had in that restaurant. Mission accomplished, folks.
I can't believe you lost the keys to the ship. Okay, lift all these boxes. The keys have to be somewhere under all this shit. This is bullshit, dude. There's no way I'm gonna miss out on Mark's gyozas because you can't find your damn keys. It'll take crackerjack concentration to find those keys.
I'm dizzy.
Come on! Concentrate on the key! And whatever you do, try not to think about your sister's gold bikini.
Hot. Damn.
Mexican, barking, spider. Did you see the keys in your mind?
Oh, f***. Those keys, they're not anywhere.
Without those keys, we can't get the ship started. And we're completely screwed, homie.
What's that?
With no keys, we can't go to Mark's house.
I've got to go home.
You suck ass.
If you do, there's only one thing left to eat around here.
You understand that, right?
Sure.